The shocking truth about the housing market is this. The government at the moment are claiming that they're going to solve the housing crisis by investing hundreds of millions of pounds to build new houses, which is great. Don't get me wrong. We welcome that. However, you can't build hundreds of thousands of houses overnight. So the impact or the positive effect of building all these houses is not going to be felt for another 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years. So in the meantime, what are we going to do about all of those people who are homeless, who are being thrown out of their homes, who are not being housed because the local authorities claim they can't afford to house them? Well, I am really sick and tired of hearing all this. And if anything, I think the government should be made accountable, because if the funds are not available within the local authorities, that means one of two things. It either means that the local authority is wasting the money that they get from the government to fund the housing issues, or the government are not giving the local authorities enough money to obviously house people. Now, I say this based on evidence. We recently had a number of units that we offered to the local authority to house those who were in need of a home. The council turned us down purely because they didn't want to pay the fair amount of rental that we were charging to offer our facilities to the local authority. Instead, they wanted to offer us or pay us a budget amount. In other words, they wanted us to fund their problem, their housing crisis. So what has happened instead? More people are living on the streets homeless. Let me give you another example. Recently, one particular lady with a newborn baby, 3 weeks old, had to move out of one of our rental accommodations because the local authority would no longer pay to keep her there. So what did they do? They kicked her out. They actually kicked her out. She was on the street. She had to put her belongings on the street. She had to walk around the town with her newborn baby until the local authority could find her somewhere else to stay. Guess what happened? They couldn't find anywhere to stay. I was heartbroken to see her actually having to walk on the street in the rain with a newborn baby with nowhere to go, purely because the local authority would not fund keeping her in a beautiful, warm, dry, rented property. Somebody somewhere is not doing their job. Now, when you think about it, if all the landlords, the good landlords, got together and offered all of the rental accommodation they have, whether that's Airbnb, service accommodation, HMOs, rented, we would probably be able to eliminate a lot of the housing crisis that this country faces at this moment in time. But instead, the council and the governments do not want to do that. They want us to pay for their problems. They want landlords to give their accommodation to them, pay below the going rate, so that then they can claim that we haven't got a housing crisis. Now, let's be honest, as we know, during COVID and other periods, the council and governments, they took everyone off the streets and they housed them in hotels, temporary accommodation. So they could do it when they wanted to. At that time, they were paying extortionate amount of money to house people in temporary accommodation. Did they look towards the future as to what and how maybe they could keep them in a place that they could call home for now, whilst they address the building issue of building new homes? No. Instead, everybody's out on the streets. That, in effect, costs the government more money than actually keeping them and housing them. Did you see recently on Sky News that poor girl who was told to leave her accommodation is on the street? She had a letter from the council saying, go to another council, tell them you're homeless, see if they can do anything for you. Really? Really? Talk about passing the buck. Wow. I'm sorry to say this, but the government are not doing enough. And when they say they're investing all this money, it's absolute rubbish, because there are more people now living on the streets than ever before. So if the government was doing something about it, we wouldn't be having such a crisis. Anyway, on a positive after that little rant, what I would say is this, okay? If you are a landlord or you're somebody looking to invest in property, then I would highly recommend that you do so. Because at the end of the day, one of the good things about being a landlord is that you can and you will make a difference to somebody. So if you're renting your property out and you've got a good tenant and they're able to pay the going fair rate, then you are doing some justice to the economy and to those in need. Anyway, if you agree with me or disagree, by all means, you can share this video. I really don't mind, because at the end of the day, together, we can make a difference. And it's only when we keep on shouting and proving a point that a difference can then be made. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Until my next one, I'll say ciao for now.